This is one of my favorite segments. I'm at Timber Press with Tom Fisher, and it's like our very own publishing company here right in Portland. And Tom, you do so many books, and I know it's so hard to select just a few, so we have a good selection here for gift giving or friends or family or our own reading this winter.
Yeah, I think we've got a little bit of something for everyone, Judy.
And so our native bees, and so bees have really been a hot topic these past years.
They are, because so many people don't realize that we have our own native bee species. It's not just honeybees. I mean, honeybees are important, especially for agricultural crops, but there are literally hundreds of species of native bees that are equally important. I mean, they fertilize native plants, and they have the potential to do a lot more. I mean, for example, bumblebees are the only bee that can fertilize tomatoes.
That is so fascinating, because you wouldn't think it was just one species that does that.
No, and it's because they vibrate their wings at a particular frequency that dislodges the pollen and enables the plant to be fertilized. And other bees simply can't do that. And for example, orchard bees have the potential to pollinate crops like almond trees. I mean, there's a whole lot of potential out there that people don't know about. And unfortunately, many species are endangered because of habitat destruction. So there's fascinating information in this book about their habitats, about their ecological importance, and just about how fascinating all these native bee species are.
And I think it helps us be better gardeners because we can have better crops, and we help the environment, and we help ourselves.
Right, and there are things you can do in your garden to encourage native bees to reproduce and be healthy.
Yeah, it was a really fascinating book. And here's another one for maybe the techies in our group.
Yes, gardening under lights. I mean, there's so much you can do if you have an indoor light setup. You can grow herb seedlings and vegetable seedlings. You can start your perennials. You can grow succulents and orchids and African violets. And the thing is, lighting technology has changed so much recently that there's just a lot of information out there that hasn't really trickled down to ordinary gardeners. I mean, LED lights, for example, are excellent. They last a long time. They produce just the right kind of light for growing indoor crops, and they produce much less heat than other kinds of lighting. So the information in this book covers lighting, it covers watering and fertilizing and how to care for all these different groups of plants. It's a ton of information. So you can pick and choose for what your needs are, but the message is there's so much you can do with a simple indoor light setup.
Right, right. You don't have to have a big garden.
Not at all.
At all. And it tells the science of how plants work, and I think that's so great. We all had that in sixth grade science, but we kind of forgot, so it really kind of goes over that
again. Good to be reminded.
And then, of course, we have to talk about the Pinterest people in our group.
Yes, this is fun. If you're at all craft-oriented, you will have such fun with this book, Handmade Houseplants by Corey Beth Hogg. Corey is a very well-known crafter based in New York, and what to show you how to create incredibly lifelike houseplants out of paper. And it's really easy to do.
I love it.
She gives you the stencils and tells you how to blow them up, all the materials you need, how to paint the leaves, how to attach them to the stems, how to make these great little arrangements. And they're just amazingly lifelike. So if you've had difficulty with living houseplants, or you consider yourself a brown thumb, this is a great alternative, and you can have such fun doing it.
And your office did this, so what a fun kind of group activity to do. Invite your friends over and make some plants.
Yeah.
You don't have to propagate them. All right. And then something for, maybe we all need this because we have busy lives, stressful lives.
We do.
Creating a sanctuary.
We do, and mindfulness is such a hot topic right now. People need to find places where they feel calm and safe and can just kind of recalibrate internally. And Jessie Bloom knows exactly how to do that. She goes about telling you how to find your own personal sacred space. It could be in your garden, it could be in a park, it could be at the beach, it could be really anywhere. And how to go about decorating it, thinking about it, being in it. And then she talks about plants that you can use to produce teas and aromatic oils and tinctures, all the things that contribute to well-being and health. And actually, in the very end, she gives a whole calendar of things you can do day by day to create your own personal sanctuary and just cultivate that mindfulness and calm that is so lacking in our lives today.
Very much. And I love the idea that you don't have to go to faraway places.
No, not at all.
You can do it right in your home, right in your garden.
Yep.
That is wonderful. And then I like this one, I think, because it's very concise.
It is. This is a great little gift book and also good for experienced gardeners. Ground Rules, 100 Easy Lessons for Growing a More Glorious Garden by Kate Fry, who's a very well-known garden designer. This is 100 simple little lessons about how to make your garden better, about plant choice, about caring for the soil, about water use, about very elementary tips about garden design. But if you absorb these little lessons, you will become a better gardener, and they're really easy to assimilate and easy to get through, and you can pick and choose, and they're really, really lovely photographs to accompany each one. So whether you're a beginning gardener or an experienced gardener who just wants a little bit of a refresher course, it's a great choice.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice gift for maybe someone with a new garden or someone that you want to kind of help, you want to be a coach.
Exactly.
Beautiful. And then this I thought was such a lovely book and such a thoughtful book.
It is. Tova Martin is one of my favorite writers. She's known mainly as a houseplant expert, but she's really an all-round great gardener. And this book takes us through the seasons, summer, spring, fall, and winter, with little essays on our senses and how to sort of stimulate our senses in every season. When you go out in the spring and you smell lilacs, or when in the summer when you hear the sensations of foliage and birds, and it's being intensely immersed in your garden and really heightening each of your five senses by being in the garden. And the writing is lovely, and there's actually good practical information in it as well. But really, if you're a gardener, it just takes you into that realm where all the sensations you experience are so intense and so precious. So I think for a gardener at any level of experience, it's just a delightful way to relive those experiences.
Yeah, I really like that one. And it just kind of reminds us it's just not all about pulling weeds.
Exactly.
And this is just a pretty, pretty book.
It is.
And interesting.
Garden Lust, which is a slightly racy title. Chris Woods, the author, was the first director of Chanticleer, that wonderful public garden in eastern Pennsylvania. And Chris went all over the world to discover the most exciting new gardens. All the gardens in here were begun after the year 2000, so they're all new. And many of them, I think, will be unfamiliar to most readers, but they're fascinating gardens in Asia, in South America, in Europe, in Australia, all over the place. And he talks about what's unique and distinctive about each of these gardens, whether it's the plants or the design or the way the garden fits into the wider landscape. The writing is really fun and sharp. The photographs are great, and it really gives you an idea of just how various and fascinating new gardens are these days.
Right.
And it's beautiful just to look at. You can leave it on your coffee table and leaf through it. But for gardeners who want to just learn more about what's going on, it's a great resource.
Or even take a trip.
Sure.
So you could even take a trip with any of these books by just reading them in your own home and kind of escape to somewhere else. So if you have any other questions, we are going to do an article about some of these books in the Garden Time magazine in December, or you can go to gardentime.tv and find out where you can find these books for your friends or for yourself. Thanks so
Great.
much, Tom.
You're welcome, Judy.